Hey everybody, it's Party Lead here with another episode of Total Breakdown. There's no better way to bring in the weekend than with a top-tier tournament battle, and so we're going to see the King's Cup number 4 finals here with IruRobin leading his Wood Elves against the High Elves of the NoToRiOuS. We begin, of course, with talk of composition and deployment, and this time we have to do it paused because the action takes off basically immediately. We have the Wood Elves here being led by a Glade Lord on horseback, and a very interesting deployment over here. A lot of use of trees over here, as might be fitting for the Wood Elves. As you can see, we've got these 3 units of Eternal Guard with shields, 2 units of regular Eternal Guard without shields, and then over here we've got War Dancers with Aserai Spear. Over here as well, we have the Spellsinger of Life on foot and 3 units of Way Watchers, while a little bit further up we have this unit of Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips, and then further back over here we have this unit of Wild Riders with shields. So a very widespread layout, a fair number of spears, a couple of cavalry units, and we also have just 3 units of Way Watchers. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, you're going to see a much larger ranged contingent. The High Elves are being led by Alariel the Radiant, and up front we have 4 units of Shadow Warriors. So then right behind them we have these 4 units of Spearmen, and behind them we've got these 5 units of Archers, and they're obviously going to be able to get a fair bit of damage done. They are up on this ridge as well, hoping to fire down into this basin area, while we have the Fireborn Dragon Prince Regiment of Renown unit back here, and the Dragon Princes over here off to the side as well. So let's kick things off and see how it all breaks down. Like I said, the action starts immediately over here on this left flank, as these Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips have to fall back as the Shadow Warriors as well as these Archers are able to fire away. Now the Shadow Warriors and the Archers both have a range of 180, so they do have some great range, but the Way Watchers have a range of 190, so it's just a slight difference, but that can make a very big difference on the battlefield. So we're going to kick it up to full speed over here and take a look at these Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips, pulling back right away, getting minimal damage, using the trees for cover, of course, taking just a touch of hurt, and then again just sort of swiveling back and forth a little bit, trying to dodge all of those arrows, and at the same time we have these Way Watchers creeping forward. They have been able to see these Shadow Warriors, so they're going to hope to shut them down as quickly as possible, as these Shadow Warriors do continue to fire away at these Glade Riders. And take a look at these shots as they come in. Watch these Shadow Warriors just begin to melt away immediately. Of course, those Way Watchers have armor-piercing shots coming in, so they're going to do a lot of damage, but they are playing it rather cautiously. They pull back into safety. Again, they can stalk as well, so they're staying hidden, pulling back behind this little ridge as well, while back here we have all of these Eternal Guards creeping forward ever so slowly, again, just posturing and preparing for melee engagements when they eventually start. Now take a look at this volley over here going into these Shadow Warriors, doing a lot of damage, dropping them to about 50% health with just 1 volley, and again, just being able to pull back into safety, stay away from all these Shadow Warriors, and then firing once more into these Shadow Warriors now. And take a look as these Shadow Warriors just drop under all of that ranged fire. Again, that's a great deal of armor-piercing damage coming through, 33 missile damage per 10 seconds, I believe the stat is given as, and a range of 190. Again, just helping them outrange the Shadow Warriors, able to pull back into safety, and just getting that damage in there, dropping these Shadow Warriors to about 50% health as well. And at the same time, you're going to see some excellent micromanagement on this Glade Lord over here as well, just sliding back and forth, and you can see she has taken no damage whatsoever, while up front over here these Glade Riders are tempting fate a little bit. They are taking a little bit more damage from these Archers back there, while over here as well these Eternal Guards, despite their shields, are tempting some shots from these Shadow Warriors, while you can see these Shadow Warriors in the center here now being focused down by the Way Watchers, again taking a lot of damage. 1 volley there, dropping their health by about 25%, and these Shadow Warriors as well creeping forward, trying to get some damage into this Glade Lord, but you can see she has taken no damage thus far. Very well micromanaged there, and now these Eternal Guards eating some shots as well. Their shields will help, of course, their silver shields, but if the angles are right, those Shadow Warriors are going to cause a lot of damage. And take a look back over here as well, these Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips creeping forward, trying to get some damage in and pulling back into safety over time, while over here we have these Shadow Warriors again being focused down on by all of these Way Watchers, and again pulling back into safety, trying to dodge all of these shots from these Archers back there. And now I think finally the Glade Lord has taken some damage from all of these Archers and Shadow Warriors that the High Elves have brought to the field, but you can see in response over here, these Shadow Warriors are absolutely being obliterated, while to the left flank, the far left, you can see we've got these Wild Riders with shields creeping forward, hoping to maybe shut down some of these Archers before they do too much work, and the Glade Lord as well, just staying up here, I think mainly to scout, to keep all of these Shadow Warriors within visual range, to keep that visual intelligence available so that these Way Watchers are able to fire away and again eliminate these extremely threatening Shadow Warrior units. And you can see now we do have the Fireborn here getting activated, trying to push in and maybe scare the Glade Lord off, maybe even scare some of these Glade Riders off as well. And you can see at the back over here at the same time, we have these Wild Riders with their shields creeping forward into these trees, hoping to, I think, sneak in there and maybe get into some of these archers or chase after some of these Shadow Warriors, but of course needing to be very careful with the Fireborn right here. They're closing the gaps, and they are eating a fair bit of damage now that the Way Watchers are able to focus in on the Fireborn instead. Already in that one volley, their health dropped again by about 25%, so beautiful Way Watcher management there, just keeping an eye on all of these enemy movements, keeping an eye on the most threatening of units and trying to shut them down as they get within range. And again, that range is magnificent, a range of 190. You can see though these Glade Riders have been less lucky. They pull back into safety, but they've taken a lot of damage. While over here we do have some assistance coming in from Earthblood, upgraded onto these Fireborn, just trying to keep that very high tier unit alive, of course, for the later half of this engagement. While back here, these Eternal Guards, despite their shields, are eating a fair bit of damage from these archers, slowly dropping away. Their health is down by about 50%, just a little bit higher up, but you can see at the same time these Shadow Warriors now the next target for all of our Way Watchers, just absolutely destroying these Shadow Warriors. Now again, the Way Watchers pull back into safety using Earthblood to try and keep them alive. The minimal damage they've taken is being replenished over here, as none of them have actually fallen. So wonderful management there, wonderfully done. And you can see these archers continue to just try to destroy the Eternal Guard over here. And while these archers continue to fire at the Glade Lord, one must wonder if these archers wouldn't have been better utilized firing on some of these other Eternal Guards despite their shields, because take a look at that right flank, the damage that's been done there. But at the same time, take a look at this central unit of Shadow Warriors again, just melting away under all of that ranged fire. There's still 22 of them standing, willing to fire and fight, but their health is down to about maybe 5%. Perhaps, and that's 2 units of Shadow Warriors that have been absolutely diminished before they've been able to do any real work. One has absolutely no kills, the other has just 10 kills. So beautiful use again of those Way Watchers, I cannot stress enough. And you can see once more these Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips getting a little adventurous perhaps, looking for an opportunity to get in, and now we've got the front lines pushing in for some melee engagements. And again, you can see these Eternal Guards down to about 50% health, so they are in a rough spot, but now these Way Watchers again opening some shots into the clumps over here, trying to get some damage done into these archers, and again, just melting them away instantaneously, getting them to rout, I think, immediately. They are wavering and very close to routing. Unfortunately, they do not actually break, but in comes another volley now into these Shadow Warriors, and again, causing a fair bit of damage over there. And you can see we've got these Eternal Guards pulling back into safety, trying to bait these guys out a little bit. And over here as well, we've got these Dragon Princes pulling out, hoping to get involved, while over here as well, the Fireborn are looking for an opportunity to get involved. But you can see immediately in comes the Prey of Anathema, and all of these shots come in from those Way Watchers. Again, the armor-piercing damage is going to do a lot of work here. Despite the bronze shields, these Fireborn are going to start melting away, just absolutely dying with that Prey of Anathema holding them in place. And so you can see the Star of Avalorn gets activated almost immediately, trying to keep these guys alive, trying to replenish those hit points. And it's a little unfortunate because that means that one way or another, the Fireborn are going to miss out. If the Prey of Anathema is utilized in its entirety, but the Star of Avalorn is still up in the air, then the Fireborn might want to stay put, but then they'll be focused down on with all of that range support, so they'll have to move out of it, and as a result of that, they'll lose out on the replenishment. But that is the ideal situation here. They need to be kept alive. They're a very important unit, and you can see on the left flank at the same time, we've got these Dragon Princes looking for an opportunity to maybe cut in through this glaring gap that's been left over here and shut down all of these Way Watchers. A beautiful entry point over there, and you can see at the same time the front lines are now engaging the Eternal Guards here, getting counter charges into these Spearmen, while the Way Watchers continue to fire away at the Fireborn. And you can see the battle of health bar over here as the Star of Avalorn tries to keep the Fireborn alive, but as those shots come in, you can just watch the health bar drop to about 50%. That is absolutely huge. You can see at the same time we've got all these archers getting involved, while back here the Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips dive into these archers again, using them in melee to shut down some of that range support, and the Way Watchers continue to fire away into the Fireborn. And you can see the Fireborn are using the Star of Avalorn. Despite being free to move now, they decide to stick there, while these Dragon Princes decide to get a nice side charge into the Eternal Guard with shields. That is a wise call, because now is the time to reveal these War Dancers with their Asrai spears, but at the same time we have these Way Watchers pulling back into safety as well, staying clear of all of that range support that's coming in, pulling back in case these Dragon Princes get just a little bit too adventurous and manage to maybe destroy one unit of Way Watchers. And back here as well, you can see we've got these Eternal Guard without their shields pulling out as well, hoping to, again, take care of these Dragon Princes as quickly as possible. And you can see already we have some more Earthblood coming in to try and keep these Way Watchers alive. They're extremely important units, as you can see in this matchup right now. They're kind of the backbone, one could say, of the Wood Elf approach, and you can see now these War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear in melee, they're going to be the backbone as well. These Wild Riders pushing in as well, getting a nice rear charge into these Dragon Princes, trying to pin them in place, while over here these Glade Riders unfortunately do give up on the fight completely. They absolutely shatter away, while up front here these Shadow Warriors continue to eat a lot of damage from the Way Watchers. Up front over here as well, you can see Alarielle decides to use Phos Protection as she goes toe-to-toe against the Eternal Guard with shields. She is on foot, so their anti-large isn't going to help, but they are armor-piercing as well, and back here these Shadow Warriors continue to just melt away under all of that Way Watcher fire. Up front, meanwhile, you can see these Eternal Guard try to close the gap into the Fireborn. The Fireborn gets some nice charges in there, but they do need to pull out. These are anti-large units, while the front lines you can see over here are sort of melting away from the Wood Elves. These Eternal Guards are not having a good time, especially on the far right flank. They had already been whittled away thanks to all of that ranged fire, and now the Spearmen are just in to finish the job off, and meanwhile the Way Watchers as well continue to fire into the Fireborn over here, hoping to at least eliminate that cavalry unit from the right flank, while on the left flank over here you can see the Wild Riders are not having the best of times engaged against these Spearmen over here. And at the same time, we've got those archers, of course, firing into the clump, trying to get some damage done of their own. We've got these War Dancers with their Asteroid Spear pulling back and diving into Alarielle the Radiant, as well as these Spearmen over here, hoping to now overcome the challenge on the right flank, while over here as well, you can see the Fireborn pulling away from these spears, trying to get a nice rear charge into these Eternal Guard who gave chase to the Dragon Princes. And now those Eternal Guard are absolutely falling apart thanks to those beautiful rear charges, but the War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear are right there getting a nice rear charge in of their own. In comes the Earthblood as well, trying to help these guys out. Woven Mist active on these War Dancers as well. Great call. Using Woven Mist to increase the missile resistance. It does decrease melee defense significantly, but under all of that ranged fire right now, the War Dancers with their Asteroid Spear definitely need that missile resistance buff, and they are just chasing away some cavalry, and the cavalry, of course, doesn't want to stay engaged against the Asteroid Spears, so they're pulling back, and those War Dancers giving chase vehemently. And at the same time, you can see the Glade Lord over here as well, looking for an opportunity to get involved here and there, just trying to scare some units off. These Shadow Warriors have been made to rout, and now these Eternal Guard again trying to close the gap into some of these archers. We've got these Wild Riders coming in as well, hoping to shut down some of these archers, but immediately you can see these Dragon Princes and the Fireborn responding, and so the Wild Riders do have to pull back into safety. That is not an engagement they want. The Dragonborn and the Fireborn and the Dragon Princes dive into these Eternal Guard and absolutely eliminate that unit. They immediately rout. While over here you can see on the left flank these Spearmen are now surrounded by these War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear and the Eternal Guard, who ultimately decide to disengage and go chasing after some of these units instead, and then ultimately decide once more to pull back instead. While over here you can see we've got the Fireborn and these Dragon Princes pushing through, using Earthblood to stay alive and chasing after these Wild Riders, and the Wild Riders are pulling back this way, sort of baiting these Dragon Princes in the path of these Way Watchers, but also pulling back these War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear. In come some shots, and watch as these guys manage to dodge. Beautiful dodging there by the Dragon Princes. Great micromanagement once more exhibited here now by the High Elves, just able to dodge those Way Watcher shots, and that makes a huge difference. Keeping this cavalry alive right now is crucial for the High Elf campaign on this battlefield, and you can see across the front line over here, the Wood Elves are struggling to hold on this right flank, but in come those Wild Riders, hoping for a nice side charge into these Spearmen, hoping to come out on top, but Phos Protection was really helping those Spearmen out, while in the center over here you can see these Spearmen are giving up on the fight, and we've got these Way Watchers now firing away at these archers over here, hoping to scare them off. Meanwhile, over here you can see we've got the Wild Riders cycle charging, we've got the Glade Lord diving in as well, and now that the right center over here has sort of fallen apart from these Spearmen, the Eternal Guard can actually turn around and envelop, but we've got these War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear diving in, and that right flank has now turned in favor of the Wood Elves, and you can see now finally these Way Watchers are eating a lot of damage thanks to all of those archers firing away, and a little bit reduced micromanagement, obviously, with the front lines engaged. There's a lot more going on across the battlefield, and as a result of that, the Way Watchers are, of course, suffering from some micromanagement. You can't really blame IruRobin for that. Of course, there's a lot going on the battlefield right now, but you can see they are posturing and firing away at these Dragon Princes, getting some great hits in there as the Dragon Princes push in, but get stuck in place by the Prey of Anathema. Beautifully done there, once again, preventing the charge, and in come these Wild Riders, in come some of these Eternal Guard and these War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear. The Dragon Princes are going to fall apart. They get the help of Phos Protection. Beautifully done there. The Star of Avalorn comes in as well, trying to keep that crucial Dragon Prince unit alive. Some Earthblood in response as well for the Wood Elves, trying to keep the Wood Elf units alive over here, and you can see the left flank has more or less been won by these Wood Elves. These Spearmen here have been left to, I guess, stand on this hilltop as the War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear go chasing after some more important units in the form of these archers and these archers over here as well, just trying to shut all that down back there. Well, over here you can see the Fireborn as well as the Dragon Princes in a terrible situation. The Fireborn sort of pulling away from all of these spears. There's so much anti-large on the field right now. These Dragon Princes are falling apart, and the Way Watchers now, again, pushing forward and actually getting into melee. They are out of ammunition, a lot of them. These two still have some ammo, but again, just shutting down units as quickly as possible, wherever possible. These Shadow Warriors Warriors as well were actually able to use all of their ammunition, but there's only 6 kills to their name, and they are being shut down right now. While back here you can see we actually have Alariel chasing after some of these Eternal Guard with shields, trying to eliminate them while these archers continue to fire away into various clumps of units. The Glade Lord as well baiting Alariel, I think, trying to get some shots in here. Alariel does use Earthblood to try and keep herself alive, of course, trying to keep leadership alive, trying to keep leadership up, and she decides to dive in towards the Glade Lord, and the Glade Lord, of course, does not want that melee engagement to happen, so she tries to pull back into safety and get shots in, but unfortunately she does get tied down. That Glade Lord needs to get out of there and immediately tries to get some orders in to pull out, while over here you can see the Fireborn, again, trying to find an angle of approach. The Dragon Prince is the same, looking for an opportunity to get involved somewhere, while the Way Watchers continue to fire away at Alariel, the Radiant, over here, hoping to eliminate leadership and drop it across the board. You can see we already have some routs coming in, very close to rout some of these other units as well. The gaps being closed down, these War Dancers with their Asteroid Spear closing in on these archers, hoping to shut down all of that range support wherever possible. At the same time, over here you can see we do have Alariel hit by the Prey of Anathrema. She is stuck in place now within the trees. That is the ideal ground for the Wood Elves. In comes a beautiful volley from these Way Watchers, and she drops dead on the spot, and that is not going to help the High Elf campaign at all. You can see we have these War Dancers pushing through, trying to eliminate this left flank. 2 routes already. We've got these archers giving up on the fight as well, and these High Elves are pulling back over top of this ridge, trying to pull back into these trees, I guess, and seek safety somewhere. We've got these Way Watchers now firing away into these Fireborn, as well as these Dragon Princes and the Glade Lord as well, giving chase over here, hoping to, I think, slow these Dragon Princes down so that the War Dancers with Asteroid Spear are actually able to close the gap. But you can see these Dragon Princes trying to sneak by behind these archers, and the archers as well now in a terrible situation as they get charged by these War Dancers. And just like that, the High Elves are falling apart. They're trying to pull back into safety. There's very little they can actually do. All they have left are ranged units. The Dragon Princes have surrendered. The Fireborn just barely willing to fight now. But you can see as they sort of poke out of the trees, the Dragon Princes do not stand a chance. The War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear are upon them. We've got the Glade Lord right here as well. These archers are very quickly going to be shut down. Another unit of War Dancers with the Asteroid Spear pulling out, getting the assistance of Earthblood as well. There's nothing the High Elves can do. And it seems that it's the Wood Elves that are coming out on top today. A beautiful battle, great finals battle between IruRobin and the NoToRiOuS. A Pyrrhic victory for the Wood Elves. With just 3 units of Way Watchers, IruRobin was able to dismantle core High Elf units, and with the top tier micro we're used to seeing from him, the Wood Elves were taking minimal damage during the first third of this battle. When the Dragon Princes were finally pulled into combat, they quickly became the priority, as the Shadow Warriors had already largely been taken care of, and this allowed IruRobin to shift focus and shut down even more high-tier units. Those Dragon Princes were excellently managed and did a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong, the NoToRiOuS led brilliantly, but the loss of 4 units of Shadow Warriors that did next to nothing cost the High Elves dearly, even though they desperately tried to make a comeback when melee engagements began, and they almost did. One has to wonder, though, if the High Elf archers focused on targets other than the Way Watchers that were dodging so brilliantly, maybe they would have come out on top. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep sending in those battle replays. I do think it's one of the best ways to learn, and it's always nice to see such amazing battles from the community. I'd also like to thank all of my patrons for supporting this channel on a month-to-month basis, making a huge difference in keeping the channel alive and running smoothly. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.